My husband fell in love with an intern at his company. He gave me the car, the house, and all the money, leaving with nothing but a divorce certificate. He said, "Trista, I can't wrong Wendy, and I don't want to wrong you either." I looked at this man who once shared instant noodles with me in a rented apartment, promising to be with me forever. Wiping the corners of my eyes, I said softly, "All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day." Now the story begins. Hearing my response, Grover paused, seemingly surprised that I had agreed so readily. He had expected me to at least cry and make a scene, refusing to let go. After all, he was prepared for a prolonged battle, armed with determination, whether it meant filing a lawsuit or enduring a cold war. This is Grover, who would go all out for whatever he loves, regardless of gains or losses. Just like how he once liked me so much that he would fight for me and take me away from that suffocating home. He said, "If you want to bully Trista, you'll have to ask me first." The bottle shattered into pieces of glass as it hit his head, and the ferocity in the young man's eyes made even those thugs flinch. Swaying slightly from side to side, they slowly released me and retreated. They just wanted to use me to pay off my father's gambling debts, not to cause a death. Tears streaming down my face, I covered his wound, my heart aching unbearably. Yet he still managed to smile and held me triumphantly. "Trista, I told you, if I like you, I won't let anyone bully you." And now, he doesn't like me anymore. He's fallen for that new intern. Grover opened his mouth, finally showing guilt in his eyes. "Trista, I'm sorry for what I did to you, but I love Wendy. I can't let you bear the stigma of being the other woman. I want to be with her with a clear conscience." He is open and upright, still carrying that youthful spirit even as he approaches 30. How noble. Who wouldn't exclaim that true love conquers all? "But I just want to ask one question." I wiped the corner of my eye, looked up, and repeated with a smile, "Just a small question. You're Wendy. Did she only find out today that you're not single?" At first, he frowned and said the new assistant was clumsy, timid as a kitten, and he wasn't satisfied. Later, he pointed angrily at the Valentine's Day gift meant for me, saying Wendy had terrible taste. Who gives a giant capybara plushie as a Valentine's gift? Coincidentally, his assistant, who was being blamed, widened her innocent eyes and let out an, "Oh, but, I think it's adorable." Grover laughed in exasperation, but I clearly saw the helplessness and affection in his eyes at that moment. "In the end," he said, "Wendy truly liked him, and a simple girl like her deserved the best. Naturally, he should regain his freedom and stand with her openly in the sunlight." But Grover said he didn't want the innocent Wendy to bear the stigma of being a homewrecker. Before this, when their feelings grew deeper, did she not know Grover was married? Hearing my question, Grover went blank for a moment, then turned his head away. "Trista, we couldn't help ourselves, but I promise you, before this, we never crossed any lines. We have nothing to be ashamed of regarding you. Indeed, joking around in the office isn't cheating. Helping an assistant out of a tight spot and sending her home isn't cheating. Seeing her cry and standing up for her isn't cheating either." I smiled bitterly and nodded. "Fine, let's get divorced." After all, Grover wanted nothing. Not the house, the car, or the money. He gave it all to me, leaving with nothing but the divorce papers. What more could I possibly be dissatisfied with? Grover finally let out a sigh of relief and looked at me happily. "Trista, I knew it. You understand me best and would surely support us." Of course he knew, because from my 18th to 28th year, I had walked every step of the way with him. 1 year of acquaintance, 4 years of dating, and 5 years of marriage. I have a gentle temperament and dislike entanglement, especially when I was a young girl, to the extent that initially Grover kept complaining that I didn't like him at all. Otherwise, why wouldn't I show any signs of jealousy? It made him so angry that he didn't appear before me for 3 days. 3 days later, he looked at me with resignation, lowered his head, and gritted his teeth in frustration. "Trista, you win. I genuinely like you, even if you don't care. I'm willing to be your simp." It was when I heard him say these words that I threw myself into his arms. He didn't know I'd searched everywhere for him during those 3 days. I was on the verge of breaking down. Holding him, I whispered with lingering fear, "You promised you wouldn't leave." "I'm scared." His body stiffened for a moment before he realized and happily embraced me, as if he'd won a great victory, his lips curling into a wide grin. "Damn, I really thought you didn't care. Your temper is just like a cat's." After that, We got into the same university, and after graduation, we squeezed together in a rented apartment eating instant noodles. When the company was first established, we endured hardships to secure business. Later, when things stabilized, he proposed. We got our marriage certificate, and the wedding was exceptionally grand because he said, "I love Trista. Trista deserves the best." Now that everything has settled, holding that divorce certificate, what he said was, "Trista, don't blame me. Wendy deserves the best." That intern was waiting for him not far away, looking pure and innocent, seeming somewhat timid when she saw me, as if I had bullied her. Grover also noticed and pulled her into a protective embrace. "Wendy is timid. If you have any grievances, direct them at me. Don't scare her." Wendy blushed and whispered to me apologetically, "Ms. Trista, please don't mind him. He's just got this bad temper. But he means no harm." The familiarity in her tone made it seem as if she, not me, had been the one who spent 10 years with Grover. I was just an outsider. The reality was indeed so. Staring at the glaring scene before me, the bitterness in my heart had long turned into numbness. Holding up the divorce certificate, I said with a smile, "It's fine. We won't be in contact anymore anyway." For some reason, Grover frowned, hesitating to speak. "Trista, even after the divorce, we can still be friends. If you ever need anything, you can come to me." Beside them, Wendy's smile stiffened at the corners. I didn't really react, just shook my head. "No need. Nothing will happen to me. And even if it does, it wouldn't involve him. After all, he's now left with nothing. No money, no influence. So seeking him out would be pointless anyway. Moreover, I don't have the habit of disturbing married men." A single sentence successfully made both of them change their expressions. As if guarding against me, Wendy eagerly tried to pull him back to their previous topic. She sat in the passenger seat that originally belonged to me and kindly asked, "Ms. Trista, where are you going?" "I'll have Grover take you. Husband divorced with a bitch." Tears drenching the big Mercedes. I tearfully refused. Then drove my big Mercedes to the hospital. The doctor I had an appointment with had been waiting for me for a long time and gave me a new medical report. "Ms. Trista, here's the thing. Your pregnancy condition is very stable. Grover not only gave me the car and the house but also gave me a child. But he will never know." After the divorce, I followed through with my original plan and relocated the company's headquarters to City A. Everyone knows that the self-made Mr. Grover gave up his empire for beauty. He handed over the company he had built over the years without a fight. And his wife divorced him just like that. On the day he married Wendy, the event was grand. Live broadcast on the big screen in City B. After weathering all the storms, even if he left with nothing, he still had his connections. Many of the friends attending the wedding are people we both know, which also allows me to receive photos in real time. A mutual friend said indignantly, 10 years. And you've been divorced for less than 6 months. He didn't even spare you any dignity. Getting married just like that, and making such a big fuss about it. Wasn't this deliberately meant to embarrass you? People online are all saying now, Wendy is the true love, and you're just taking advantage of his gratitude. The choice he had when there were no other options. At this point, the person across sneered. Total bullshit. No one knows better than them how Grover and I have stuck together through thick and thin. Grover, the hardships you've endured, I've likely suffered no less. We are a couple who have weathered hardships together. How could there be any talk of demanding repayment for kindness? But it's true. With live streaming, there are bound to be netizens watching. The comment section is lively. The plot from the novel came true. The male lead would rather give up everything than to keep the troublesome female supporting character and marry the female lead. So sweet. Another day being an NPC. Now that old hag must be fuming in the bathroom after seeing this. Right. Serves her right. If it weren't for her, Wendy wouldn't have been hurt so many times. It was at this moment that I realized Wendy had been secretly documenting her daily life with Grover online, becoming a popular relationship blogger that many people adored. Many left comments. Reading the blogger's posts feels exactly like a novel's plot where the innocent female lead meets the domineering CEO. Can the toxic supporting female character just disappear? She's ruining the couple's happiness. May her whole family perish, as they wished. My entire family is indeed gone. My mother died in childbirth giving birth to me, and my gambling-addicted father was found dead in a landfill 3 years ago after stirring up too much trouble. I burned them all to ashes. I have nothing left, only able to nourish the fatherless fetus with chicken soup. sitting atop a company and indulging in luxury cars, enduring the boundless loneliness after losing Grover. To mutual friends, no need to send me anymore. I've already let go. I didn't tell them. Actually, Grover sent me a wedding invitation. He said on the other end of the phone, Trista, even after the divorce, we can still be friends. You want me to be happy too, right? Wendy, seeing that I didn't agree, even shed tears and timidly spoke up. Ms. Trista, are you still angry with me? Grover, did I do something wrong? I shouldn't have competed with Ms. Trista for you. It's strange. Though Wendy's tears seemed to ignite a fire, and for some reason, Grover suddenly got angry. Trista, do we really have to be at such odds? Even if we're no longer husband and wife. We've been together for so many years. Can't we at least be friends? I laughed in anger. I hadn't said much before out of consideration for the money and the house. But if I don't get angry, do they really think I'm a fool? But Trista has always been gentle and never quarrels with anyone. Naturally, even now, I smiled warmly. Friends. Of course we're friends. Originally, I had something else to attend to and couldn't go. But since you've all invited me so warmly, how about I send you a gift instead? The other side was delighted. Trista, I knew you weren't that petty. I didn't hear the rest because I had no time for that idiot's nonsense. So I decisively blocked them. After all, the doctor warned that loud noises could affect fetal development. But later, people said that during the wedding ceremony, the groom seemed distracted for some reason, frequently glancing toward the door as if searching for someone. Yet no matter how long he waited, no one ever appeared. Instead, during a live broadcast to the entire internet, I received 99 funeral wreaths from my ex-wife. The left banner wished for infertility, while the right one celebrated a house full of descendants. But what does this have to do with me? 7 years have passed, and I've truly kept my word. I've let it all go. Resolutely cut off all sources of contact with Grover. Never expected to meet him again at an art exhibition in City A. At that time, I was still holding my child's hand while viewing the paintings. It was a daughter, fair and clean, nicknamed Zoe, who never cried much since childhood. She just loved to fight. And when she heard other kids calling her a fatherless wild child, she beat them until they cried. When confronting their parents, they were self-righteous. Is what my child said wrong? Even your own man didn't want you. Serves you right that your child has no father. I tried to mediate calmly. Let's talk this through properly. No need to argue first. The other party, born with a mother but raised without a father. Such ill-bred trash. I responded politely. Could you please refrain from using foul language? However, I heard that the other party has quite a background. Her husband is a manager at a well-known company. Their child has caused trouble several times, and the most serious incident even nearly injured another child's eye. Yet everything was swept under the rug. So why would she be afraid now? Sure enough, her finger was practically jabbing at my face as she ranted furiously. So what if I said it? Who do you think you are? Just wait till my husband gets here. You'll regret this. Look at you, with that vixen face. Who knows if your kid will grow up to be just as shameless. Me? I sighed and made a call to my assistant. Half an hour later, the once haughty person was now looking at me with a tearful face, still in shock, begging and pleading with me not to fire her husband. Holding the child, I could only sigh helplessly. I've already told you nicely. Why won't you listen? This must be your husband. Right. Come on, Gerald. Don't just stand there. Kneel when you speak. How dare someone I pay $1 million salary to have the audacity to show off in front of me? Clearly blind. The person who just pushed open the door was full of arrogance at first, demanding the principal fire someone the moment they saw her. You dare take in a widow's daughter? Aren't you afraid of bad luck? Turning his head and seeing me sitting upright beside him, his legs instinctively went weak. Realizing something, he stammered, Ms. Trista. He finally remembered that his rarely seen boss was also a widow with a daughter. That's right. After divorcing Grover, I've always claimed to be widowed in public. He knelt down quickly, dropping to both knees before his wife could even react. Ms. Trista. What mess, Trista? That woman had a bad premonition and instinctively looked at me. I took a sip of tea before finally raising my eyes to look at the person before me. I had no idea before that Mr. Gerald and his wife both had such tempers. Gerald knew all too well how sharp his wife's tongue was. They were evenly matched as a couple. Cold sweat trickled down his forehead as he stammered. Ms. Trista. This is all a misunderstanding. With that, He yanked his wife, causing her to stumble. The woman, who had been so domineering just moments ago, suddenly turned pale, and her sharp tongue turned into a stutter. Why yes, it's a misunderstanding. Then she forced a stiff smile and pulled her son to look at me. It's just kids being kids. Talking nonsense. Gerald shot his son a glare and gritted his teeth. Apologize now. Even the most unruly child is still just a kid. Spoiled rotten, but no match for an adult's intimidation. He soon tearfully muttered an apology. Hearing this, their daughter turned her head away with a huff, refusing to speak. Gerald instead offered an apologetic smile. It's good that you know you were wrong. Ms. Trista is famously good-tempered and never argues with others. Ms. Trista, rest assured, I'll make sure to discipline this boy properly when we get home. I must say, Gerald really understands me. I never argue with anyone and always speak kindly. For instance, right now. I nodded approvingly. It's naturally best if you can educate your child properly. After all, every single mother deserves respect. Not to mention that the adults bear greater responsibility in this matter. The teacup landed on the table, and I laughed along with Gerald's laughter. Warm-hearted like every boss who cares for their employees. As far as I know, the tuition here is over 100,000 per semester. I think Mr. Gerald is so capable that he'll surely find a higher position elsewhere and afford it. Right. Gerald's once lifted smile froze. Behind us, the pleas of the man and woman intertwined with the child's cries. I have already. Trista turned away holding her daughter when an assistant's message popped up on her phone. Ms. Trista, as you instructed. Gerald's resignation process is nearly complete. My expression remained unchanged. Give him the compensation he's owed. But he won't work in this industry anymore. The other party decisively gave a positive response. I am a good-tempered person, since I clearly realized that quarreling doesn't solve any problems. I have never had any verbal conflicts with anyone, because rather than wasting time and energy, it's better to make a clean break. It's like discovering Grover has fallen for someone else. So I took all my assets and divorced. When I found the other family unreasonable, I cut them off and blacklisted them. As for my father's gambling habits expecting me to bail him out, I severed all ties, not giving a single cent, only to one day at dawn receive news of his death in a garbage dump. In the car, the little girl buried her head in my neck, still somewhat troubled by those people's words earlier, and whispered to me, "Mommy, don't be afraid. Even without Daddy, Zoe can help Mommy fight the bad people. Zoe will be Mommy's husband." That unlucky kid. The world's turned upside down. After I gave him a spank on the bottom, he behaved. Now, at the art exhibition where I was accompanying her to relax, a shocked voice suddenly came from behind. Trista. I turned at the sound and saw Grover no longer resembling his once confident and spirited self. Indeed, in the past, we stood at the forefront of the era, where entrepreneurship always balanced risk and reward. But now the market has long stabilized, and starting over isn't so easy for him anymore. Thus, he had grown much thinner, and the carefree pride in his eyes had faded. Yet he still dressed impeccably in a suit. There are just some wrinkles that can't quite be ironed out. Accompanied by Wendy in a long dress. How did you get here? I don't understand. How do I remember that the exhibition is by invitation only, and you can't get in without one? Grover seemed to not hear what I said and cheerfully spoke to me. All these years I've been wanting to reach out to you, Trista. Seeing that you're doing fine puts my mind at ease. What could possibly happen to me? Trista, how have you been all these years? Grover cautiously asked me. I almost forgot. After taking over the company, I chose to keep a low profile for the sake of my pregnancy, stepping back behind the scenes, even though I still managed the company. On the surface, the board director had been replaced by someone else. Grover probably thought that without him, I couldn't manage well and ended up selling the company to someone else. I didn't explain either, just nodded. I'm doing well, politely asked in return. What about you? Grover wanted to answer, but Wendy beside him had already grabbed his arm and spoke first. We're doing quite well. Thank you for your concern, Miss Sue. But perhaps it's best not to ask so many questions about a married man. The blatant defensiveness and obvious overcompensation only made the whole situation seem oddly petty in this context. How strange, back when she was flirting with Grover, did it never occur to her that he was also a married man? In the past, Grover would have found this endearing, as he particularly loved seeing the woman he loved jealous for him. But now, he frowned. I was just catching up with Trista. What are you making a fuss about? The impatience in his eyes was a far cry from the passionate affection he once showed. Wendy's face stiffened. She's actually a very easy-to-read girl. Right after graduation, she had Grover watching over her, and later got her wish to marry the one she loved. People like her may seem naive and innocent, but in reality, they have strong self-esteem. Now, Grover has publicly humiliated her, and because of me, her expression is predictably unpleasant. What's even more pathetic is that she only knows how to use the same old trick. Sure enough, the next second her eyes turned red, and she stubbornly bit her lip. You really do look down on me. I'm not as capable as her, not as virtuous. But you once said that even so, in your heart, I would always come first. She didn't get the chance to say those words. The man who once loved her passionately and could talk for 2 hours with just one phone call now doesn't even have the patience to let her finish a single sentence. He bluntly said, knowing you can't compare, yet still speaking up. Wendy. Me? I smiled politely and took a step back, maintaining my distance. Since you two have family matters to attend to, I won't disturb you any further. I've already decided to have security review how such an insignificant person managed to slip past them unnoticed. Yet, this perfect pair seemed intent on not letting me off the hook. With her wounds laid bare, Wendy could no longer maintain her composure. Tears streamed down her once innocent face, the very face that had once enchanted Grover, now pitifully stained with sorrow. So you've finally spoken your mind. You liar. You clearly said you loved me the most. Have you forgotten the promises you made to me? She cried and made a scene, clinging to Grover relentlessly. It was just like a little girl acting spoiled toward her husband. But unfortunately, this was an important occasion. No one would find this behavior cute. Several disapproving glances were cast their way after being disturbed. Grover had always been the one receiving compliments. When had he ever been this humiliated? Gritting his teeth. Could you stop being so embarrassing? God knows why he ever thought this woman was adorable before. Indeed, when taking a wife, one should marry someone as magnanimous as Trista. A woman like this is only fit to be kept on the side, utterly unworthy of the main stage. Alas, it was only in recent years that he came to understand this truth. Every night, he is filled with regret when he thinks about how he once clamored to divorce Trista and marry this woman, all for the sake of some so-called righteous love. Grover was consumed by remorse, completely oblivious to Wendy's sudden halt and movement as his words fell. He was now just staring at me, as if he wanted to say something. At that moment, a childish voice chimed in. Mommy, who are they? The already quiet scene grew even quieter. The two who were just making a fuss now noticed Zoe, whom I was holding by the hand. The little girl quietly witnessed the commotion and then looked at them expressionlessly. She lacked all the innocence and naivety typical of her age. A child. Grover's voice trembled as he looked at Zoe's face, which bore a faint resemblance to his own. Trista. This child is. As much as he hated to admit it, that face was undeniably telling, even if I didn't say it. Grover was nearly ecstatic. Wendy also snapped back to reality, her already cracked calm expression twisting into utter ferocity. A child. You secretly had a child. You just want to use the child to steal Grover away from me, don't you? You squandered the company and Grover's money, and now you're trying to use the child to make Grover take you in again. You shameless homewrecker. She screamed excitedly. It was as if she had finally found an outlet to vent, pouring out all the words she had previously held back with restraint. Just you wait. Today Grover will finalize the deal with the gallery owner, and then you can forget about seeing or clinging to him. I knew it. How could a woman like you suddenly appear at such an occasion? Who do you think you are? Do you even know? Grover and I were about to reconcile. Once this deal is done, I'll have money again, and everything can go back to how it was. But Trista, why? Why did it have to be you? Why are you here again? Security. Where is security? How could such a shameless woman be allowed into a proper art exhibition? She was hysterical. But when security approached, she became haughty again, pointing at me and Zoe as she commanded. Hurry up and throw this person out. If your boss finds out you let such riffraff in and lowered the standards, you'll be in big trouble. The security guard, upon hearing this, looked at me in confusion. The exhibition owner. Isn't that me? This morning, my assistant mentioned that the small business owner who had begged for cooperation several times and finally got me to agree to meet turned out to be Grover. Wendy finally regained her pride as a winner, raising her voice to mock, chasing someone else's husband all the way here. Don't forget, Back then Grover divorced you because you were too proud to block him and said you'd never see him again. What? Regretting it now. Giving birth to this bastard was just a cheap trick to snatch Grover back from me, wasn't it? This sentence scared me so much that I first covered Zoe's ears. Luckily, the little one didn't hear it. If she found out her precious baby was said to be fighting over some trash, all hell would break loose. God knows how long it would take to calm her down. Enough. Stop talking. As Wendy made a scene, everyone around turned to look. Grover reverted to his younger self, standing protectively in front of me, glaring at Wendy with disgust. Trista just loves me too much. And besides, she was my original wife. The child is also my own flesh and blood. What right do you have to interfere? Don't forget how you seduced me into getting a divorce in the first place. As soon as these words were spoken, the entire room erupted in an uproar. 5 years had passed, and the two who once threw caution to the wind for love had now turned vicious and ugly, tearing at each other's scars in full public view. Grover accused Wendy of seducing him into abandoning his wife and daughter. Wendy hysterically demanded the security to throw me out. The security guard reluctantly approached me, who was just watching the drama unfold, and said respectfully, "Teacher Anna, these two have invitations. We didn't expect things to turn out like this." Anna. The two who had been arguing looked over in disbelief. I forgot to mention, Anna is my pen name for painting and also the main organizer of this art exhibition. In other words, Wendy and Grover went through all sorts of trouble to get their hands on an invitation to meet the person they were trying to collaborate with. That would be me. Thinking about it now, maybe they even stole that invitation. We should have checked more carefully. The security personnel were still explaining to me. I shook my head. The invitation is fine. It's not your fault. It was my personal mistake. I've been busy taking Zoe out to relax lately, and my new assistant knows even less about my personal matters. So when he mentioned a promising project with good prospects, I agreed to meet without asking much about the other party, which led to this whole misunderstanding. Actually, ever since Grover charged forward for love, willing to give up everything and divorce just to give Wendy a proper status, I knew he'd have a hard time afterward. He was full of confidence, believing that since he had once started from scratch and reached the pinnacle of life without relying on anyone, he could do it all over again. Yet he forgot that when the wind rises, even a pig can fly. How could he possibly be so lucky every time? Little did he know that opportunities are fleeting and may never come again. But I never expected that Grover would be doing so poorly. After all these years, he's still stuck at the bottom. And no way. How could she possibly be Anna? Wendy was the first to snap out of it, shaking her head in denial. She's just a fraud who knows nothing and rose to fame by relying on men. Without Grover, the company was sold, and she should be down and out by now. How could it possibly be Anna? To put it bluntly, she just couldn't accept that the person standing before her was me. Unwilling to admit she misjudged me back then, while I remain as successful as ever. More than her own failures, it's my success that keeps her tossing and turning at night. Teacher Anna, how do you plan to handle them? The security personnel only asked me. Over there. Grover was just stunned before bursting into ecstasy. Trista, I knew you wouldn't sell the company we built together. Let's talk properly. With my plan, the company can reach new heights again. We'll fight together just like before. For the first time, I found it unlucky and couldn't wait to avoid it. Throw them out. The security personnel, each standing at 8 meters tall with 8-pack abs, were just itching for a chance to prove their worth to their employer. Upon hearing the order, they immediately grabbed one each and, in full view of everyone, tossed the two out like dogs. During that time, someone exclaimed in surprise, "Could that be the once renowned Mr. Grover from City B? How did he end up like this? I heard he divorced his devoted wife for an intern. Thought he was something special. Turns out without his ex-wife, he's nothing now. What Mr. Grover? Just a stray dog. He's nothing." Grover values face the most, but today is undoubtedly his most humiliating moment. Yet every single word rang painfully clear in his ears. Remember, even during his startup days, no one had ever treated him this way, let alone at the peak of his success. But all of this has changed. When did it all begin? When he was thrown to the ground, he suddenly glared darkly at Wendy beside him. Wendy was still cursing me in her mouth. She refused to believe that I could still live well, even thrive, after losing Grover. Not only did she fail to become a wealthy lady, but she also ended up in a loveless marriage with Grover, maintaining only a facade of harmony. Grover ignored her and couldn't even be bothered to glance her way as he headed toward the back door of the art exhibition. Upon seeing Zoe being escorted out by the bodyguards, a flicker of joy flashed in his eyes. He rummaged through his pockets and finally found a piece of candy tucked away in a corner. It was Wendy who put it there. During her internship, when the two were still in a flirtatious phase, she would put a piece of candy in Grover's bag every day. When Grover found out, he scoffed. Trying to bribe a kid. She stuck out her tongue playfully, acting innocent. But Mr. Grover works so hard. Having something sweet every day would make him happy. Back then, I wouldn't have been so considerate of Grover. Although I would cook him feasts when I had time, I never had such thoughtful ideas. That's why Grover found it novel. Later, he got divorced and married Wendy. At first, everything indeed went as he had imagined. Although I blocked him, he and Wendy lived happily together. The girlish charm delighted him. But gradually, the once imagined smooth entrepreneurial path became fraught with obstacles. He worked tirelessly, barely managing to earn some money, only to come home and find his card had been maxed out. The instigator flaunted the skirt at him. Honey, look, isn't it pretty? They had a big fight. From then on, everything seemed to have opened a beginning, and conflicts arose continuously. The innocence he once adored had turned into foolishness, the charm into affectation, and the possessiveness he found most endearing had become petty and unworthy of mention. This piece of candy had been left inside for so long that no one could remember when it was put there and forgotten. But it's okay. As his daughter, she would understand his feelings and wouldn't mind. Zoe. Your name is Zoe, right? He walked up to the girl and gave what he thought was a friendly smile. I'm your dad. Zoe looked up at the sound, with no trace of childish innocence on her face. Instead, she stared at Grover as if he were crazy and said, Uncle, why are you cursing at people? Grover. The bodyguard already had the intention to make him leave. He could only hurriedly explain. Zoe, I really am your father. There was a misunderstanding between me and your mom. She got angry and is giving me the cold shoulder. But none of that matters now. Now that I know you exist, I understand that your mom still has feelings for me. Otherwise, she wouldn't have given birth to you. Zoe, do you want to make your mom happy? How about I take you out to have fun and prepare a surprise for her? He wasn't bad looking. And even in his destitute state, there was something subtly captivating about him, not to mention to a 6-year-old child. Sure enough, Zoe tilted her head. Really? Of course it's true. Zoe, Daddy loves you. Grover reached out his hand, full of smiles. Zoe also smiled. The next second, the corners of his mouth turned downward as he stared expressionlessly at the person before him, issuing a childish command to the bodyguard. Beat him up. Grover. The bodyguard raised his hand. Grover. He was knocked to the ground, struggling. Zoe, I'm your dad. I'm your real father. So you're the one who made Mom sad. Right. I don't believe you. You bad guy. There's a misunderstanding here, Grover explained. Dad was also deceived by someone, and Mom was acting out of anger. She must have said a lot of bad things about Dad. But it's okay. Dad doesn't blame Mom. Dad will make it up to you properly. Before he could finish, Zoe was already looking down at him. Uncle, you don't actually think Mom told me nothing, do you? Indeed. In Grover's subconscious, I would avoid mentioning him for the sake of the children. This gave him many opportunities to make amends, starting with the child. As long as Zoe likes him, for Zoe's sake, I'll try to accept him. But he didn't expect the child he thought would be easy to fool to hum. Mom told me about you when I asked where my dad was. You bad guy. Abandoning Mom for some wicked woman. I'm going to help Mom teach you a lesson. He overthought it. I never idealized him nor avoided mentioning him. The fault isn't mine. Zoe has the right to know as a child. Rather than avoiding the topic, it's better to tell her the truth directly, saving us from Grover stirring up trouble and causing drama later. Grover still couldn't accept it. Don't you miss Dad at all? Zoe made a face and said, the one who gave birth to me was Mom. The one who attended parent-teacher meetings was Mom. The one who taught me to speak and walk was also Mom. Why do you think I'd betray Mom for a stranger? This little one had secretly been playing with a phone and somehow picked up new words, proudly raising her head. This one is for Mom. Grover got beaten pretty badly. When Zoe returned, she naturally took my hand. I lowered my head. Weren't you just going to the bathroom? Why did it take so long? The little one looked up with big, innocent eyes, clutching her stomach with a frown. My tummy hurts. Mommy. Hold me. I didn't suspect anything and scooped her into my arms. She didn't see her bury her head on my shoulder and smile quietly. After coaxing someone to sleep, I finally had time to finish the unfinished business. Rubbing my temples. Did you send someone to follow them? As I asked. The assistant nodded. People are following him. After learning your identity, he went to the company again to request a meeting. Me. Then throw him out. Not just throw him out, but also send a message to others. Any company that signs with Grover is effectively giving up any collaboration with us. Anyone who dares to hire Grover is going against me. Trista. If everyone finds me. Trista. So disagreeable. I don't mind us having it out. And don't say later that Trista didn't give them face. The words were decisive, leaving no room for negotiation. The assistant's expression went blank for a moment. Not out of hesitation, but surprise. MS. Trista, are you trying to wipe us out completely? What's the point of keeping them around if not to finish them off? I took it as a given. A scumbag and a bitch. Why not strike while they're down instead of waiting for them to recover and live happily ever after? Just because I avoid arguments doesn't mean I don't hold grudges. Back then, Grover dared to cheat behind my back. So I took everything he had and made him leave with nothing. That should have been the end of it. As for Wendy, she merely stole an unfaithful man. Hardly worth my revenge. But the one thing they should never have done was show their faces in front of me again. One trying to take my daughter away, the other calling her a bastard. And in front of everyone, no less. If I don't teach them a lesson this time, how can I keep my reputation in City A? I just don't know if Grover and Wendy understand that a mere lesson from someone in power feels like an insurmountable mountain crushing down on them. Some debts are meant to be repaid. My assistant works quickly. Over the years, I've built a solid foundation in City A's business circle. Even if they won't respect the monk, they'll respect the Buddha. To offend me for the sake of a middle-aged man starting over. Anyone with sense knows what choice to make. Naturally, Grover faced nothing but rejection in the days that followed. He didn't even know how many times he'd been snubbed. And Wendy seemed to have been provoked since that day. Neurotically staring at Grover. Seeing Grover return in sadness. Aren't you supposed to be amazing? How can you not even compare to a Trista? Her account still maintained peace, attracting many fans who envied her for marrying into wealth. Over the years, it undoubtedly satisfied herself. But lies will always be exposed. If Grover can't make a comeback, won't it be impossible to hide the fact that she's been flaunting fake designer clothes and fake affection? Trista, how dare you even mention her? In the rented apartment, Grover sneered at the woman across from her. Her eyes filled with disdain. Back then, Trista was so capable when we started the business together. And you, all you do is wait to reap the benefits. Wendy, if it weren't for you seducing me, how could I have divorced Trista and ended up with a broken family? I seduced you. Wendy dropped all pretense, looking at him with sarcasm. Did I force you to cheat? Divorce. And be with me. Clearly, you were eyeing the pot while eating from the bowl. And now you're playing innocent. Let me tell you. Don't even think about dumping me to get back together with her, or I'll make sure you regret it. The threat was unmistakable, yet was never Grover taken seriously. Indeed, she had always presented herself as pure and innocent before. Even if she threatened, Grover wouldn't take it to heart. Right now, he's just trying to cling to me like a drowning man grasping at straws, because he realized that after being beaten up, Zoe was already well protected, making it impossible for him to get close. Finally, once again in the cafe, his proposal was torn apart by the negotiating manager. As he left, the manager even cast a disdainful glance at him. With this, you think you're worthy of MS. Trista personally acknowledging you, even if it were tossed on the roadside. A dog wouldn't spare it a glance. Well, that might be a bit harsh. Grover does have some skills, but the funding required for this project far exceeds what an ordinary company would consider, making it seem like pure fantasy in their eyes. No sooner had the person left, Grover spotted me coming down from the hotel across the street. He didn't care about anything else and rushed over in a hurry. Halfway there, he was firmly stopped by the bodyguards. Trista, is it you? Is it really you? How could you hate me this much? I'm Zoe's father. What good does it do you to see me worthless? It makes me happy. I spoke almost immediately, curling my lips into a smirk as he froze. If you're unhappy, then I'm happy. Isn't that how divorced couples are supposed to be? Grover, what makes you think I'm so magnanimous that I'd just silently endure being wronged? He couldn't accept it. I can change. Trista, I already know I was wrong. This project is really important to me. If it doesn't succeed this time, I'll die. I immediately perked up and exclaimed, what a wonderful thing that would be. Him. Grover finally came to terms with the fact that I truly don't love him anymore. Then his current pretense becomes utterly meaningless. Cornered like a desperate beast, he bares his fangs and snarls. Are you really going to be this ruthless? I shook my head. No. His expression changed. But the next second, I said, I can be even more ruthless. This is just the beginning. He angrily said, you weren't like this before. He used to not cheat and only loved me. Yet he's always so strict with others and lenient with himself. As if it's me who's done wrong. Accusing. No matter what, I'm still Zoe's biological father. How can you be so heartless and cruel? Aren't you afraid Zoe will blame you when she grows up? I just asked him very seriously. Do you really want Zoe to acknowledge you as her father? He replied matter-of-factly. Of course, I am her father. All right then. Zoe's current expenses, from daily necessities like food and clothing to extracurricular classes and tuition, add up to at least $1 million. Since you're so eager to be recognized, you might as well contribute to the child support for these past few years. Not much, just a few million. Grover left filled with indignation, dropping a remark. Trista, you forced my hand. Don't say I didn't warn you. Every word sounded like it was spoken under duress. Anyone who didn't know better might think he was some kind of upright gentleman. How come I never noticed how pretentious he was before? The assistant looked somewhat worried. Ms. Trista, pushing someone this hard. What if he does something extreme? I watched his retreating figure indifferently. Unless pushed to the brink. How would a dog jump over the wall? It was also that night. Wendy's blog, after a rare year-long hiatus, posted another loving couple photo of her and Grover. Fans of the previously silent account came flooding in. Mom, the couple you ship has finally come back to life. So happy. It's like an unexpected extra chapter after the sweet novel has already ended. Who on earth is spreading rumors that Wendy's family isn't happy and that she's a fake rich woman? They're very much in love. Under this comment, Wendy was the only one who replied. There were indeed some unexpected incidents in between, but never mind. Grover loves me deeply, and no one can steal him away no matter how hard they try. We're very happy. The comments sparked countless speculations, with the top-liked one undoubtedly being, could it be that old hag causing trouble again? She's made a career out of stealing other people's husbands. Wendy didn't respond but also didn't delete the comment. The account's popularity was once again stirred up. On the third day, Grover walked through the doors of my competitor's company. At that moment, my assistant knocked on my office door. Ms. Trista, here are the materials for this bid. As I flipped through a couple pages, something occurred to me and I looked up. By the way, Gerald, has the resignation process been completed? The assistant nodded. Earlier he was making a fuss about not wanting to leave, but somehow yesterday he suddenly agreed. He took the compensation, packed up his workstation, and said he'd found another job. But in this city apart from the company across the street daring to hire him, which other firm would take him? Since we're in a competitive relationship, the other party naturally wouldn't heed my warning, nor would they fear offending me. I nodded, indicating that I understood. The next day, 1 hour before the bidding gala, Wendy's account suddenly posted a video. In the video, she wore a white dress with a deliberately haggard makeup look, appearing pitiful and vulnerable. I've always been reluctant to let my fans worry, and I never wanted to cyberbully anyone, but this time, I really have no other choice. She raised her head, tears welling up in her eyes as she looked into the camera. Sister Trista, I know you're watching, and I also know you're still bitter that Grover chose me over you when he divorced you back then. Whether you hate me or resent Grover, we don't care, but you should never have secretly given birth to a child as leverage. A child is not your tool for winning favor. Neither I nor Grover would be as cold-blooded as you. You think that having a child would make Grover divorce me and return to you. But Grover won't. On the contrary, we will sue to regain custody of the child. Because no matter what you, as the mother, do to the child, Grover is after all the child's biological father. I will also treat the child as my own. These words could be described as being forced by circumstances yet profoundly righteous. For a time, public opinion was in an uproar, and my identity and background were dug up. Trista forces marriage with daughter in tow. Trista the mistress. The trending hashtag suddenly claimed the top 2 spots. Wendy's fans led the charge. Auntie, don't be ridiculous. The couple is deeply in love. What right do you have to interfere? The child is innocent. Using a child as leverage is disgusting. Who would have thought? The trope of a villainess using her daughter to break up the main couple in novels is actually real. My assistant immediately asked for my instructions on how to handle the situation as the public outcry began to escalate. It's not that I can't handle it, but, after seeing these messages, the young lady is making a fuss about arguing with the other side. The little girl's temper is as fiery as ever. I waved my hand dismissively. First take Zoe to play some games. As for the rest, we'll talk about it after the bidding is over. But this bidding process was unusually fast. When I first entered, I happened to run into Grover, who clearly understood the current public opinion better than I did, and seemed somewhat reluctant. Trista, don't blame me. You forced my hand first. Behind him, the CEO of the competing company was beaming with delight. If you ask me, women should just stay at home obediently, have babies and cook. Look at you. Can't even keep your husband, let alone retain talent. The one who jumped ship to his company, Gerald, chimed in. That's right. MS, Trista, don't blame me, your former employee, for not warning you. Instead of competing with us men for business, you'd better deal with those unsavory rumors first. I curled my lips into a smile, beaming. Gerald, MS, Trista, are you regretting firing me now? Gerald sneered. Not at all, I said with concern in my voice. I just wanted to remind you. I looked at the other company's CEO, but my words were directed at Gerald. I heard your company is struggling and urgently needs a big order to turn things around. If you're still rushing to join the business world in this state, be careful. You might not even be able to afford your child's tuition later. By the way, this time, my words were for the other CEO. Boss Wang's wife ran away, and the kids went with her. Now he can barely hold on to his money. Be careful not to misjudge the situation. It could lead to utter ruin. His wife comes from a wealthy family and couldn't stand his repeated failures, so she simply took the kids back to her parents' home. This kind of thing isn't exactly unheard of. Compared to him, I'm definitely a rookie in this regard. After all, I've never been this down and out before. As the words fell, the opposing CEO's expression turned extremely ugly. His teeth clenched in anger. MS, Trista, leave some room in your words for future encounters. Some things are better not said too absolutely. Don't burn all your bridges. I looked down at him with a cold laugh. Then I'll be waiting to see. As for Grover, right now, he's not even worthy of exchanging a single word with me, let alone receiving a glance from me. As expected, the proposal they provided was a modified version of the plan written by Grover. It does look quite impressive, but that's about it. With so many companies present, who's really that much worse than the others? Of course, that is, if this proposal hadn't mixed in our company's bidding plan for this tender. How could this be? The assistant couldn't believe it, suddenly realizing something, and instinctively looked at the resigned Gerald. It was you. You actually stole the plan secretly. Gerald smirked smugly. Don't you dare make false accusations against us. With the plan leaked and the leader just embroiled in scandal, the outcome became unquestionably clear. The opposing company successfully secured the qualification. On the podium, Grover, after several years, finally regained that once triumphant feeling. I watched his current glorious demeanor for a long moment before turning to leave. Let's go. The first thing done was to post the ambiguous photos and clues from when Grover was married and flirting with Wendy, tagging Wendy's account, along with a question. I'd also like to ask, what exactly did Miss He mean when she was playfully pinching cheeks with my ex-husband back then? As for the child, I only learned about it after the divorce. I am capable of raising her, so naturally, there's no need to find her a worthless father years later. There are also Grover's expense records showing he misused marital assets to buy an apartment for Wendy. As for why the evidence is so complete, it's because when I first noticed Grover showing signs of infidelity, I specifically hired a private investigator to gather it. My original intention was just to have enough evidence to make him surrender most of the assets and leave if he cheated. But I didn't expect that before I could act, Grover would rush to make his move first. Instantly transformed into a warrior charging for love, he gave me the car, house, and all the money, leaving with nothing but the clothes on his back just to get a divorce certificate. I was utterly shocked by this idiot's move, then signed my name without hesitation, afraid he might change his mind. I thought the best outcome would be dividing 2/3 of the assets. Who knew there'd be an unexpected surprise? It was evidence that wasn't needed at first, but now it's actually being used. Such irrefutable proof. Later, a lawyer's letter from the legal department was also posted, causing a shocking reversal in public opinion. The netizens who had been calling me a homewrecker and a yellow-faced hag suddenly felt fooled. After all this time, the sweet romance story turned out to be a real-life record of a cheating scumbag and his mistress. Why pretend to be innocent and playfully pinch cheeks when you knew he had a wife? So hard to guess. Huh? Can the scumbag and his mistress just get lost together? Yes, they can. Rarely. Wendy did not refute. Instead, she remained silent, because under irrefutable evidence, there was no room for rebuttal, and also because she had long known she would be exposed. But making me endure hours of negative public opinion had already served her purpose. Grover's proposal was adopted, and the bid was successful. Large sums of money poured in. Subsequently, Grover gradually regained his former glory. Along with it, Wendy also began living the wealthy life she had always dreamed of. That day, she even called me, sneering, "Trista, you don't actually think you've won, do you? It's just an account. If I don't want it, I don't want it." Now that Grover has money, what can't be done? I was holding Zoe, getting ready for a vacation abroad, and upon hearing this, I simply said, "Oh, sincerely, then I wish you two stay locked together forever." Turning around, I made one last call just before the plane took off, and the other end responded respectfully, "Ms. Trista." Gazing at the scenery outside, I leisurely said, "The weather has turned cold, and it's time for the Emanuel family to go bankrupt." The next day, the once thriving project took a sudden turn for the worse. The tender company's shady accounts were exposed, and the largest investor, sensing trouble, immediately withdrew funds and vanished. Left with no choice, the Emanuel family had to dig into their own pockets to fill the gap. After all, this was their only hope. Yet this gaping hole seemed impossible to fill. Half a month, just half a month, the already crumbling Emanuel family could no longer hold on and was forced to declare bankruptcy. Grover, who thought he was about to reach his peak, fell once again, shattered to pieces. No possibility of rising again. That day, I had just finished my vacation. On the way back, I asked Zoe, "Mom didn't give you a father's love. Does that make you sad?" The little girl opened her big eyes wide. "Just a small question." I laughed at her. "That's money, not love." The little girl spoke with worldly wisdom. "With lots and lots of money, you'll get lots and lots of love. Zoe will love mommy very much too. And when I grow up I'll earn lots and lots of money for mommy." I was completely relieved. But when sending her back to school and heading to the company, I was almost blocked by Grover and Wendy. Wendy looked truly haggard, staring at me intently. "It's all your fault. It's all your fault. You planned this. You're the one who harmed me." I protested my innocence. "I didn't do anything. How can you call it harming?" But she seemed not to hear, lost in her frenzy. "Now everything's gone. Are you happy now that nothing's left?" I refused to spend my life with a useless good-for-nothing. But her scandalous affairs with Grover are public knowledge online. Who would actually hire her if she tried to find a decent job? Not to mention now Grover is heavily in debt, only remembering to hold on to me tightly, using Zoe as leverage. "Trista, I am Zoe's biological father. You have to help me. Just this once." I helped him. I helped him by calling the police. The reason is creating a disturbance. The police quickly took him and Wendy away. After this, we probably won't see each other again, because the company security has already posted photos of both individuals in the internal group, labeled as, "No dogs or these two people allowed." Later, after employees protested against animal discrimination, the cute dog was crossed out, leaving only the two permanently banned for the rest of their lives. May they rot and stink. The end.